Time once again, brothers, to have the local boys take turns sticking me against a wall. Epic skill, epic sprinting 180 degrees from danger, the same explicit violence on a gigantic scale with some of the craziest boss cheese you've ever seen. So wake up, smell the damage, and join me facing the toughest, most arduous, most brutal battles of endurance against some real assholes in this, the punch skill only run.
Well, he's definitely going to be a monk.
No, I'm not. I'm going to be a ranger. I'm Liam Sneeson. I'm channeling everyone's favorite famous boxer. Now, I may look like a woman, but Dad, I want to be Liam Neeson and a woman, so I'm going to be. So let's get into it. Game over, drowned? No, I'm seriously, I'm in a real stupid mood. You're going to have to suffer me when this one lands, I'm afraid. So what is punch? You can see that little skill decal. It's basically if you don't have any weapon, you use this default attack. And there is almost no reason you should ever do this. However, I will be completing the entire game to the best of my ability, using this skill only. Now, I'm going to be embarrassed as you are, watching me the punch skill to begin with. I got pretty good by the end, and I am at this point with 0 skill. Now you might say, just put a quiver on or something. No, you can't. Can't put a quiver on, even though it's got some really good adds to it, like solid suffixes. I can't use one. And annoyingly, I have to equip. Actually, oh, interesting. You can't. Yeah, well, that's proof you can't put it on without it. So I have to equip a lot of this stuff. You can see how bad I am. Not really sure where to put stuff. Guys, once I'm in the flow, and it takes me about 20 hours, and I get pretty good at this. But I'm learning range, distance. Oh my god, he's looking good. I've got to say, Liam Neeson's just got that talent. Just say goodbye to Bessie. Cal level confirmed. And we're up against someone with a problem. He's eaten too much bread. He's angry because he's bloated. Now, how hard can this be? Now, I've tried this before on my pacifist run. I thought I'd try and just punch him. And I couldn't do it. I'll be honest, I tried a few times. I could not be bothered. I've just got to learn. A lot of this is going to be learning the boss patterns intimately. And I mean that sexually, but I also mean that in terms of just learning them. And what is that hitbox? Oh, this game is trash. Okay, this is good. Okay, I think the issue is I need to get good. So let's just do a little bit more practice. Let's get that sweet level up. Oh my god, 12 hit points. You kidding me? I'm a chunky boy. Get that first level in evasion. Make no difference, I'm sure. And let's try against Millie one more time. It's the big attacks, of course, you really got to avoid. And then this is going to be really tough. This was pretty much the hardest thing about doing it on the pacifist run, was the ads. Now, under normal circumstances, you can kill them quite quickly, but I'm punching them. So it can take 3 hits, and I know I need to dodge after every hit, because otherwise they get in their generic swipe attack. But look at that. I mean, some solid dodging coming in. And it's time to just lock in. Now, I apologise in advance for the resolution of this one, guys. It does change. I did realise, I've done it the same stupid resolution as the previous Path of Exile video. I do change it, but unfortunately you have to just endure it for the time being. And I also improved the graphics, because for some reason, it defaulted to not full graphics, which annoyed me a lot. But we're getting there. Okay, let's not get distracted on our path to success, which involves me having to concentrate for very long periods of time. Now, most people know that I don't play hardcore because I can't concentrate for long periods of time without watching the TV or getting distracted. This was no exception. I actually thought when I did this that I'd got some special achievement. I did not, but I am able to put 5 minutes and 38 seconds of combat against the bloated Miller on the table of shame. And I'm able to get into town and start actually equipping some pretty decent stuff. That energy shield is ridiculous. So, very solid upgrade. There's still so many weapons to add. There are too many skills in this game. I'm going to tell you that. I don't need any more. I just don't want any more. It's so complicated for a Diablo 2 smooth brain like me. But I would argue, as I always do, that the journey is only difficult if you don't know exactly where you're going. So, and I definitely don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. So look, forgive me for being, I think my previous video, someone called me a proper tourist, which I thought was hilarious. So yes, I am a tourist to this game, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. And also, sometimes watching me fail is just as much fun as watching me succeed, from what I hear. So I'm trying my best against these. I am already at a point where I think I might need to quit. I'm taking so much damage. So even the smallest fights against some of the easiest creatures are proving to be very challenging, especially ones that seem to auto-hit you when they get into range. These little scallywags from Birmingham are a pain in the arse, especially when you get clipped by that ludicrous hitbox. These absolute rotters were horrific to try and beat, especially, I mean, there's 5 here, 6. That is too many for me to take on at the same time. Luckily, the old hide round the corner trick seemed to work quite effectively. I don't know if that was built in just to make this a little bit more beginner friendly, but I'm not sure. But even here, you can see, oh, this should be fine. No. The idea of me taking on Beer of the Rotten Pack, yeah, it's not going to happen. We need to be leveling up everything. That's pretty much at the beginning is my equipment. All these little like incremental jumps up are so big at the beginning. Like the levels, like 12 hit points is pretty decent at the beginning. So this is the punch skill. I'm doing 5 DPS. There are some slots there I can add some skills into, but that will have to come a bit later. We're going to ignore most of the first area and hope we can find a little bit more luck in the second. And actually, immediately, these guys are a lot more manageable by someone of my skill level. Now look, I am still getting hit, but at least most of the time. 50% of the time, I'm not getting hit 100% of the time. That's good enough for me. 100% is good enough for me. I had no idea, by the way, about this whole new, like, abyss portals and all this kind of stuff coming up. No idea. So I was very confused that some new enemies appearing in areas which I was felt I was probably familiar with. Now, this felt like, okay, finally, this is a boss we must be able to take on. No. Again, not at my skill level. Let's continue to plow through. Fist first, through the forest. And you can see the speed of this run was something that I've had to abridge significantly. Now, I did actually get all the way to the Abyssal Arsenal, and it actually felt maybe slightly worth it. I mean, I've got nothing at the moment, so all of this stuff can be sold. And my bank balance, because it's a kind of new season, is 0. So, we have some deadly poison. Now, this is part of the reason why I'm Liam Sneeson, is because I sneeze on my hands, and then I pass it on. The big issue with poison is that it scales with your damage, and I'm doing almost no damage. So we're going to have to just stack as many poison stacks on top of each other as possible, and try and maximize that very limited damage. Now, I have a plan in the far future of what that's going to look like, but at the moment, we're stuck fisting. Now, I did find a ring, 1 to 3 physical damage, and I also found some torn gloves, which means my energy shield is just slightly better, and that felt like I might have enough to take on the very first, arguably the easiest boss in the entire game. I will put that to the test against my skill. Now, the issues, again, with the rotten wolves are just absolute sinks of my health. So I do have a little bit of life regeneration. You can see that is making quite a big difference. It's maybe 1.9, so it is actually at this level not insignificant. And one of the main reasons I chose poison is because it cuts through that energy shield. And I know from the pacifist run, the thorny run, that was very, very significant. And Beera Pong straight in there, 2 minutes 34 seconds. Solid effort there, by the way. One of the shorter bosses, as you'll see how ridiculous that league table gets by the end. Next up, Devourer. This guy really challenged me on the first time I played this game, which is going to sound embarrassing, but I was just not ready for any boss in an ARPG to really give me any trouble at all. I think I was off the back of Diablo 4, and it was just the most pointless exercise in difficulty I've ever had. There is no challenge to Diablo 4, except for at the very, very end of the game, and at that point, the fun's kind of slightly gone. So a bit of just a weird, like, to have so much difficulty so early on in the game. But absolutely the reason why Path of Exile 2 deserves your time, attention, because especially when it gets free to play. And the Devourer, fortunately, having some of the most telegraphed attacks possible, went down with almost no fight whatsoever. I felt bad. He looked endangered, I'll be honest. And at 3 minutes 24 seconds, knocks Beera Pong out the second slot. Another solid leveling up here. Feels like I'm cracking through this. I've been doing this for hours at this point just to get here. Another abyssal trove. Unfortunately, not very much in there. And the beginning part of this skill tree really needs some work. It's so boring. More evasion. We're stacking evasion. You'll realize why. It's not because I don't know what to do. Well, maybe slightly, but I did have a bit of a plan. It's worth coming to Path of Exile with something of a plan, just maybe not a fully fleshed out one, because it'll change. And honestly, there have been times I've changed characters quite significantly and completely bricked them. And other times, like, the damage has tripled, so you're never quite sure. Bramblegast. Looks like he's living homeless at the moment, so I feel a bit sad. I had me to cut him down. Again, very, very easily telegraphed attacks. Most of the time, I just have to like dodge a lot. A lot of the time, I remember in my previous video, someone said, "Why don't you ever use potions?" Dude, of course I use potions. I edit the videos quite heavily, as you can imagine. You don't want... This video would be about 30 hours long if I kept it all live. But if I'm using potions, chances are I'm not going to be able to succeed. And Thorny Purple Balls, he's out of town. Pretty decent time he took to defeat, I'll be honest. Like 4 minutes, over 4 minutes. But that is gonna, again, pale in comparison. Very nice to re-meet Elsa. Money spent. She lives in a crack den now. And with 10% frost resistance, which I got, frost, you're gonna hate that, aren't you? You are. Cold resistance. She's nothing to me. And Elsa, 1 minute. Oh my goodness me. Was that even a boss? Technically not. By the end, I don't include a lot of those kind of sub-bosses. Now look, big brain. It's not just about poison. It could also be about bleed. And the idea was like, well, actually stacking both of these could be interesting. The DPS shot up to 10, by the way, mainly from the rings that I've got on now. The iron rings you can get early on in the game are pretty decent jump up in damage, even though it's only like 1 to 4. And the obelisk rusks still give me fear, conniptions, based on the horror I had in my pacifist run. But now I can punch my way through this. What do they got other than a huge amount of health and damage output? But the old circle strafe, punch, clutch level up when you need it. I put my girdle on. Still cranking up that tree. Skill tree still very boring at this point. And these packs, man, they were taking some time. But that's my time, not yours. We're going straight into the Rust King. I think this is a very cool fight. I actually really like the lighting. Suddenly, like, the forest gets darker. And it really looks like pools of light. The reflections look incredible, by the way. The graphics I have improved at this point. The resolution, you'll have to wait for. But the Rust King, what's he got? Doesn't look like he's got much against my punch power. Now, I'm not poisoning every time. The first poison gem you get has a 40% chance to poison. I'll need some more equipment. I need to get further in the skill tree to get that up any higher. And the bleed as well is not frequent. But it all adds up, especially when I can kind of hit and run. Like one hit, maybe I bleed, maybe I poison. If I'm lucky, I'll do both. This guy's... There's more men in this fight than in a Bonnie Blue video. That reference will age. Anyway, Ronnie Blue here, come on. I remember some of these attacks being the first time I really enjoyed Thorns. But down he goes. Ronnie Rust is down. 5 minutes, 40 seconds. He takes the top spot, can you believe it? And we'll go and get Decker Kane down from his deserved, hungered position. He's always getting caught. And somehow, I'm always getting him out of trouble. Old Grandad Kane. We know it's Grandad Kane as well. We know in our heart. And this, man, is just so super cool. It's like that. Are just so cool. This game is so easy to rush through and ignore some of the incredible details. But
What is he talking about?
yeah, I know. Just trying to appreciate the journey, man. Chill out. So some interesting stuff. I do not understand this early game, by the way. Like, when are you meant to identify? When are you not? I had a whole inventory full of unidentified items in the hope that eventually Decker Kane would wake up. I could see he was with that girl, and he was trying to do some stuff. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll uncover what he was up to. The Rotten Druid looks like he's ill, I'll be honest. Aren't we all at this time of year? Someone we know is ill. I find that's all people talk about, is how the weather changes. This is the UK, by the way. But the weather is very variable in the UK. You're never really sure if it's going to rain or not. But the chances are, if you're in the north, then the answer's yes. And if you're in the south, then the answer's maybe. But this time of year, everyone knows someone who's ill. And that's all they want to talk about. And the Rotten Druid, 0. Patient 0. We're in the heart of Wuhan right now. Am I allowed to say that? I am allowed to say it. It's whether this video gets any views, the more I talk about it. Well, I'm not in it for the views.
Just as well.
Love this skill, by the way. That little boulder looks cool. I kind of wish you would like smash into like smaller boulders, but it looks really cool. And actually, the Rotten Druid, unfortunately, was very, very easy. I'm sorry, my man, but you haven't got it, and I have. Exalted Orb as well. Okay, big. The Wizard from Wuhan. 5 minutes, 6 seconds. Easy. And that Exalted Orb, man, we're not solo self-found here. We are shopping. We're going to need to shop a lot. And look at this. It's horrible. The man just walking home from work. Just punch him in the back of the head. Horrid. Oh, and actually, that iron ring is a very, very decent find. Now, these little children lack discipline. The best thing you can do is punch him in the back. Is punch him in the head. That's not advice. Don't ever take that advice. No, back at the head. And at this point, most fights really were just a DPS check. Now, I failed nearly every DPS check. And there was a lot of returning to town. What you're not seeing is how often I had to return to town. What I did see, I'd never seen this before, by the way. Someone left their cupboard, their armoire, in the middle of the room. But I'd never seen this little mod before, which I thought was pretty cool. It took me a very long time to realize I could just stand behind this and kill everything quite comfortably. Some pretty solid items getting dropped out there. That shoebox. And then Draven. Now, I've heard from many people that this could be the point where I give up. And they were right. The biggest issue I had was I just didn't remember the fight at all. And I can barely remember it now in terms of things you need to remember. So there are graves on the floor. Do not let the spirits, when you walk over them, be near the grave, or you get one of those little summon guys. Here's a good example of me not realizing that at all. And I'm like, oh, it must just be a timed event. Every now and then he brings up these eternal nights. No, you're just an idiot. But watching this back now, I have to explain that, because I do know now. I don't need you to comment. I need you to comment nice things about how handsome I am and how much you enjoyed my last movie. I tell you what, Liam Neeson movies to me are always good. People say like, oh, I wasn't that good. You're wrong. It's consistent. It's always good. It's like Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's no such thing. You know what you're getting. Jackie Chan. You know what you're getting. Liam Neeson.
No nurse. Liam, your son's in trouble.
I don't know why he's chosen his own name in that movie.
Paddy, your son's in trouble again.
Anyway, look, I'm trying to distract myself from the horrific gameplay. Yeah, Draven absolutely kicked my ass. And it's his wife. Always ruins everything. Her summoning circles, when they clip you in the wrong kind of spot. And there's a little like tricky little bit in the environment down the bottom where you need to get caught up on a gravestone. But Draven again. Now I'm struggling and I'm still making some really bad decisions. Here's a really good example of how I still completely did not understand the mechanic and thought, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll kill all these these handsome men, and that'll hopefully free me up to do some real damage. But they kept coming back. Maybe it's because I kept being a smooth-brained mud wallower. I don't know. But in the end, I was like, fine. If you're going to be here, that's cool. I'm just going to ignore you. The fight took a huge amount longer than it should have done as a result of me just insisting that these guys just stay around. And that might be why Draven ends up so high on the boss league table. And I was very close. That probably would have been death, by the way, getting clipped by that. But it's these circles. But as with all things in life, the more you punch it, the sooner it dies. And eventually, poor old Dave and his wife are returned to the grave. Now, unfortunately, I've still got all these ads to get rid of. But look at Dave, it's well up there. 15 minutes that took me. That was not my only attempt. So it's actually horrible seeing how difficult this was at the beginning. And this, I mean, many of you, of course, have played this game a lot and seen this many times. I've not seen this before. And I wish I hadn't. It's this particular guy I spent a lot of time. He should probably be on the boss list, to be honest, because of how long he took. You see the energy shield there being particularly aggravating. But clearly well worth for one orb of augmentation and a staff, only for him to come back again and again and again. That was actually the third time, I thought. You might notice I've got the latency meter. The latency was an additional level of difficulty. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I know we had the recent Amazon web service outage. Well, hold on. What are you talking about? These are the coolest enemies in the game, by the way. These knights, the Knights Gaunt, are incredible. This should be a boss. This should be one of the toughest bosses in the game. Look at how cool that looks. I absolutely love it. The design of this game, the environments alone, 10 out of 10. They are so good. The only problem is, and this is the weird thing to say, there's too much content. There's too much content in this game. I don't need that much. But they look incredible. I've got to say, my appreciation for this game is, I might sound a bit gushing, but I really, really love this game. I think it's really, really good. I think if you can't enjoy this game, then there's something wrong with you. And I think it might actually be, like I know you, but it might be the way you're playing it. You just got to play these games for fun. And when you're tired of it, play something else. You don't have to have like 300 hours of content every month. So I went to the boss. It didn't go very well. And I thought, I actually need some money. So I'm going to have to sell some of these unidentified items because I can't afford to identify them. But what I did do is do some shopping. I have that exalted orb. So I'm looking for some gloves because I know it's going to be one of the biggest damage increases. What is wrong with people though? Their pricing. So 2 glove options I thought. North Paw, just some basic damage there. And also Plague Finger, some decent increased attack speed. But then I've got 30% chance to poison, potentially, on hit. But actually I end up going for Yarn Gripper. It's kind of like a mix between the two. About 30 to 50 life. And actually Yarn Gripper was so cool. It means Iron Grippers. And that is one of Thor's 3 items. I'm sure you can name them all. The hammer being only one. Look at this crafting as well. I'm getting well into it. So a little bit of life regen on that, which is very nice. And another level up, which is always pleasant. I made a real mistake accidentally pinning the attribute there. I did that a few times, not knowing what to do. I ended up going for strength just because I thought, I didn't think. I'll be honest, I didn't think. But I'm aiming down, bleed. Because there's some interesting bleed, incision and bleed stuff down there. I'm thinking at some point I might want to get some life flasks, regeneration. Some of these battles are going to be big. But ultimately, I think poison is where Liam Sneeson's going to come into his own, her own, its own. Yeah, and there's a few decent poison trees quite nearby. I think we can get pretty much all the way there. So I seen you coming. I'm going to punch you in the skirt. Right between the legs. Classy like. Now the issue was always going to be the energy shield. I seem to remember this being such a pain beforehand. But we've got incredible big brain, insider knowledge of what to do around these graves, which is do not dance around them. Now the spirits as they came in, I assumed that when the spirits came in, they like charged up a really big attack. What they, in fact they do is just charge up the next attack. I might be slightly wrong there, but that's the best I could find online. So when I see the spirits coming, we're going to ignore it. We're going to leave it. We can dodge, you know, an attack, we can dodge. What we can't dodge is the incessant spear attacks of whatever's in those graves. Okay, and this is pretty risky, this bone wall. Oh, nice. That was potentially going to be game ending, by the way, if we didn't have enough damage to get through the bone wall. but we do have enough damage. And actually, with the energy shield gone, we start ranking up some real damage. Ranking? What the hell is wrong with me? Racking. Get your rack out. But unlike Dave, Senior was actually pretty manageable. When Dave gets called in, I mean, it's pretty embarrassing, but this is a pretty solid tip. Just stay down in this corner and just dodge some of the attacks, and you're generally fine. You have to be careful of some of them, of course, but staying really far to this side actually kind of semi-trivializes this fight. As you can see, I'm able to do it punch only, and I can even punch out the bone prisons pretty comfortably. And I'm not triggering any of the greys, which would add a huge amount of complexity to the fight. And with that, the old lady and her husband are no more. Of course, managed to trigger one at the very end. But a senior citizen, 8 minutes 33, and a unique as well. Now this unique, very decent. Life recovery. Okay, so the way it works is stack life regeneration, but it's not going to happen every second. It's going to happen. Beg your pudding? But it's not going to happen. But it clearly took a bit too long. I love the fact they put that little line in there of like, what are you doing? Get a move on. Now, I was maybe a little bit scared of this guy. I just remember some of his attacks do a huge amount of damage. And it is one of my criticisms of this game. Evasion is what I've ended up stacking. It's basically a chance not to take damage. But there are a lot of attacks from bosses which are undodgeable. It gets particularly bad and obnoxious with some bosses. Might be talking about some gorillas in Act 3. But yeah, these like really heavy hitting attacks are basically the ones you want a chance to avoid. And unfortunately with many of them, you've just got to be skillful enough to dodge it. And I'm not that guy, pal. Trust me, I'm not that guy. So some pretty sketchy moments fighting Lachlan of the Endless Lament. Lachlan! Oh, and he's really building up to a big one there. Back to the bothy for you. And you might think at this point, oh, he's forgotten to do the boss timing tracker. No, Scottish people don't qualify. Sorry. Filth Face. I love it. Filth Face with a temporal bubble. Oh, and Decker Kane's up. And he's put seed all over that poor girl. Oh, God. What a guy up to his old tricks already. Covered her in his seed. Disgusting. And one of my favourite bosses from the game, the Crowbell, just looks so cool and has a big bell. A big bell end. I'll tell you what, I'm in a silly billy mood right now. Now that unique amulet is making a lot of this quite trivial, I'll be honest. I'm stacking a huge amount of life regeneration, and because the attacks come maybe they're a little bit too few and far between, as long as I don't get hit by every single one, the big bell attack is pretty much the one you've got to avoid. But the big girl's going home without a man tonight. 4 minutes 32, nowhere close enough. But the real excitement comes in moving up. Incision chance. Incision's an interesting one. So it's a chance that when you bleed an enemy, specifically, and you can see it coming through there, when you bleed, they'll take more damage from that bleed. And I'm really like the frames of this particular area. I mean, if I look at it, it looks like a test, to be honest. There's so much going on. So much 3D environment. This is why I get annoyed with people criticizing games almost at all. Not that long ago, I was spitting in a cartridge, try and get it to work. And now look, I can save my spit for other things. King of the Mists. I heard actually that King of the Mists, there's a upgraded fight with the King of the Mists that's meant to be one of the hardest fights in the game, which is cool. Honestly, this is going to seem a bit sad to admit. I've never done a map in this game. By the time I get to the end, I'm kind of done. I remember one of the devs once saying, by the time, this is Path of Exile 1, when you get to maps, we've kind of got you hooked. I'll be honest, when I got to maps, I was a bit over it. I wanted to do something else. Yeah, maybe I've just not got the kind of stamina. Got some internal fortitude to bother with this run, but the King of the Mist, he could barely hit me with any attack. Like even then, it just didn't do anything. So I'll skip most of it for everyone's sake. The King missed me. 11 minutes, 11 seconds. So up towards the top, Dave's still got the record. This just feels a lot like real life, just punching dogs. I think the thing I didn't like about this, the reason why I included this clip, because they are bleeding profusely. It seems like a very strange sight. This is the kind of thing when Graham walks in. What are you doing? "Oh, I'm just bleeding these dogs." That's not why a dog bleeds. I'm glad I got to do that impression, as I'm sure you are. Right. This is cool. Make an entire game out of this little area. I swear, it's so good. So what else would you rather be doing other than periodically punching dogs? I have to be a little cautious when they're in such a big pack size. The last thing anyone wants to do is be ravaged, encircled and ravaged by hounds in a field. We know that's a lie for some of you. Now, I still haven't actually upgraded my gloves yet, but we have found some gloves at least with some damage on. And it wouldn't be one of my videos without having the local farm boys just take turns bending me over the gate. The only loot box. I used to joke it's funny that that's a loot box, but actually there is quite a lot of kind of loot box-esque things in this game now. But with these 2 points, we can up the magnitude of bleeding, which is always benefiting from that incision. And I considered from a skill perspective, well, I considered a lot to be honest, but the spirit especially, it just felt like Plague Bearer, because I'd have to use a skill. I'd have to you build it up and then you use the skill. It felt like it wasn't, well, it isn't, let's be honest. It isn't punch only. And that's what we're doing. Punch only. If you weren't sure.
Why has he not got a weapon on? Is he an idiot?
Yes, but for unrelated reasons. Smithing tools. Oh, I love the fact there's a little different sound. Oh, solid voice acting there from Lettuce. It's probably Lettuce, but it's Lettuce to me. Oh dear. Oh, let's play some football. What a cool fight this is, by the way. Executioner. They should make a movie of this game. The problem is, I don't think they've got any really good movie stars anymore, other than Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson can play every part. Okay. Men, women, children, enemies. He's actually a very versatile actor. As long as they're all from in and around Northern Ireland, it'll be fine. So here's my great hack for this fight. And the hack was discovered by getting bullied into this corner. But actually, if you hang down in this little corner here, I was lucky I remembered that probably wasn't going to be good news. We did this little throat slit gesture. But there's some shadows at the top of some dudes hanging around. But by hanging in this little cubby down here, a lot of the ads to the fight simply don't join in. And actually, nice getting. I think it might be the first stagger I've got on any boss. And these kind of little delay fights, and I rolled way too far to the north there, and I'm in some real trouble. I do kind of wish with fights with the ads that a lot of the bosses' attacks would just carve through them as well. I think that'd be really cool, just to see the anvil come down. This fight is just incredible. This easily could have been the end of the act. I'm going to put it out there. This should have been the end of the act. By the way, the whole game is too long. Maybe when you punch, it feels particularly long. But the campaign is just so brutally long now. If maps are meant to be so exciting, I mean, the content in this game, I don't know why anyone complains. It's so good. And if things are imbalanced, good. That makes it more fun. Because you've got to find those things that are imbalanced. You can see this. It feels like there's quite a crowd up there. Must be old Ronnie Rust holding one of his book signings again. It really quite a good fun fight, that one. I think it's really well staggered in terms of difficulty. I do wish, like Diablo 1, a lot more of these games embrace the idea of maybe poor unique items dropping as standard from enemies, or even if it's just a chance to drop, 15% chance for him to drop his hammer. I'm probably talking absolute rubbish, to be honest. The best thing about this, the implementation, I actually thought these were meteors coming down, by the way. I didn't realize they were the archers, but I stood there for a while until I realized they won't give me any experience. But look at this. What more do you want? I want to explore that. Game looks fantastic. I've mentioned before, this bit really reminds me of Dark Souls 2. A game I really need to just start. I need to start playing the Souls games. I'm sorry I've taken so long. And I'm just admiring the rain here. To many people. This was my biggest laugh in my first run. Donk. So, what an absolute psychopath you've ended up with. But I'll showcase just some of what I had to endure against some of these bigger creatures. It might not be attractive, and it might take a long time, but it gets the job done. Oh, and I just love this so much. I've got an issue with the log. I think it should have a grate. Also, there's a lot of fire coming out of the fireplace there as well, which doesn't seem very safe. In fact, I think this might be one of the biggest problems. Is the fire safe. There's some unattended candles as well, which, as everyone should know by this point, I really hate. The flames actually coming, frankly licking the wood paneling is completely unattended. The whole place is going to go up. No wonder the village is on fire. They're not taking health and safety serious at all. But actually, I would love a house with this kind of wood paneling. That's like a life goal. Help me make it happen, guys. I mean, I did say I wanted the act to end at a certain point, but this looks incredible. And I don't know if this was added recently. I actually can't be bothered to check. But did I just miss this the first few times I played? This whole boss? Now, I assumed that this was going to be like a bit of a easy sub-boss. I underestimated Candlemas. I mainly underestimated the power of some of his attacks. Not only does he do some insane damage, but he also sets you alight. And that particular attack, as you can tell, was, I think, again, one of the problems. I've got almost 40% fire resistance. The problem is, when there's not much to think about other than just punching for minutes in a row, and then suddenly you get some really pretty serious attacks in, it's quite difficult to maintain concentration. And I can't think of a funny name for Candlemas, but thankfully it doesn't matter because he doesn't make it onto the league table. Again, one of my favorite areas in the whole game. Look at this. Oh, it looks incredible. Actually, you can walk down quite far. I wish there was a secret area where you could just walk all the way down and it just went to another zone. I don't know if there are any secrets in this game. If there are secrets, please let me know. I really think they should add in some more. Grim Dawn had a pretty good attitude towards that. And look at each of these little pillars. Little sheared kind of... what are they? Supporting pillars? Each of them are different, right? Oh my goodness me. So, I maybe wrongly assumed that this was going to be a lightning-based boss to contend with. Yep, I was about as wrong as could be. Oh dear. Behind every troublesome man is a nagging wife. Unbelievable. Getting absolutely pushed around. First stage of this fight seems okay. I mean, actually, he's dishing some pretty decent damage. I probably don't want to get hit by that. I immediately realised that this is probably going to be a frost-based fight. I'm not prepped for that. But I'm not going to die, so no drama. Getting the poisons in, getting the bleeds in, getting the war banners up. I think we've just got to dodge that for the time being. What we don't want at this early point in the fight is to really use any of our potions. We've got to make sure that we save it for the last stage. That's almost a universal rule. Save your potions until you desperately need it. There is some little tracking on that attack as well. Needs to be a little bit cautious. The first part, no great drama whatsoever. It took a very long time, unfortunately, to whittle him down. Great. The other great piece of advice the devs need from someone who's never made a game in their life is to maybe even half the health pools of every boss. Why do we need these fights to be so long? Maybe it's because I'm not playing a meta build. The ads here, again, not welcome. I don't need this kind of extra drama, extra stress, extra things to concentrate on. They seem to be exploding. I'm not sure if that's me when I kill them. I know that little, like, dramatic entrance in is very cool. So this second stage really was a real pain. Really, really. Taking some damage where I don't need to. Taking some frost damage. Oh. And this is just horrible. I mean, but if you're going to have a go at your husband, you need to do it behind closed doors. You don't do it in public like this. This is just really... What a cuck. Poor old Count Cuck. Count Cuckula. That might be his name. We'll see. Okay. Oh, look at this. Wow. Okay. That's cool. Now, I don't recall... Oh, he's actually got all his health back as well. Does that mean I have to go through this whole health bar again? This could be a tough bit, I'll be honest. Is there a timing? Now what this means is I can potentially, if I can kill these guys, or at least one or two of them, I can regenerate some charges on my... Oh no, this is not looking good at all. I've got a feeling there will be no regeneration. There will be simply obliteration. And I'm trapped. Okay, thank goodness. Thank goodness. That is a blessing that he destroys the ads. And that is a very, very easy attack to dodge past. Oh, look, I don't really want to get clipped by that. The issue is... Whoa! Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that completely. Fortunately, I was able to heal pretty sharp. The healing I've got, thanks to that amulet, is very, very decent. If you've not tried this amulet before, I recommend it. The worst part by a long way was being sliced up by Team Jacob. And the stress of that like meteor attack just spiking my blood pressure. I was in a constant state of horror. Because I knew there might even be a chance that one-shots me. Especially if I take in like a hit or two, then yeah, easily could be in some trouble. Like a single slice like that and then just not having the timing to heal. Actually got pretty good. I mean, I say got pretty good. The tells were there, and even when I did get hit, I was kind of okay. Some of the attacks at the beginning were pretty bad. When it gets to this final stage, I was in real trouble. Now they have the ability, I can see, to bleed. And my health was getting very, very low at times. And this, friends, is why I should have a full health potion to be able to draw upon in a time of desperate need. I did not have that. Instead, I had a will and a war banner and a single right hand. And I'll tell you what, things like that were really good, but I was getting hit almost every single time by everything. Little chips, you can see that again, little chips, bleed damage, still taking damage. I think it was so close there to death. We are very, very far through the fight at this point. So you need to understand, I've been doing this for a very, very long period of time. I will show you the boss counter at the end, the boss time, and you will maybe not believe me. But believe me, if you do this, if you choose to do this, you have none of my respect, because this video is a warning. It's not a recommendation. It is a warning to anyone who would dare attempt it. One of the things I will say runs like this really do is give you an appreciation for every stage of a boss fight, more than ever before. To see like the different, okay, that's what this move looks like, to see the triggers, see the builds to attacks. So I got pretty good at fighting bosses, much better than I was with my first run through, but what we're really interested in, 32 minutes and 31 seconds. Even when I think back on it, I'm like, I can't believe it took that long, but it did, without break. First time though. Let's scoop up the loot and get the hell out of town. Because we've spent an awful long time, and let's equip some of these cosmetics. So I just assumed that, I don't know what I assumed, but I was maybe very fortunate to coincide this run with the free weekend, I think it was, which offered some cosmetics to people as an additional incentive. The incentive should be that the game's free and it's really good fun. I've got my little like grey rat hood on. Is it grey rat from Dark Souls? Can't exactly remember. But maybe it's time, guys, just to do what needs to be done. I ended up trading in real life with what I believed was a human being. A human being. Finally getting my hands on some yarn grubber. Decent life, very decent increased attack speed. What? 4 DPS increase? We're getting chunky. As soon as I bought it, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm that happy with this. I did a lot of research, guys, on exactly what I needed, at what level, and what would... It didn't really help much. I think Tree Fingers is probably the best gloves I could have got, and I might even get them in the future. If I can get like a 10 to 16 damage on those, that would probably be pretty insane. But we'll see how far we get along the poison tree. Maybe poison will come up to be more important than that raw damage, although I know there's a semi kind of symbiotic nature between the two. Semi-symbiotic. They work in parallel, is what I mean to say. I don't know, I'm trying to sound smart. Now, big boy smart move. Most of you will probably know this by now. Always turn your back on a hyena. But what even creature is this? It's pretty cool, I've got to say. Like a lion centaur. Now, a lot of you are going to say he's clearly hyena. Not to me. I'd be lying if I told you I thought that. Oh, here he is. He's back. He's back. The whiskey's kicked in. So the easy way to take on this fight is not do what I'm doing here. I've got a feeling a lot of these hyenas are going to keep coming, whatever. I can prove this in a moment. So I've got the full pack on me here. And although I'm very slowly thinning the herd, they kind of keep going. One by one, they keep joining in. So I realised pretty early on, actually, we probably should just concentrate on the boss, because this is a waste of time. And I've got to hope, by straying as far as I did, that I haven't completely reset him. But the key is to stand in this little corner as best as you possibly can. And that basically keeps all of the wolves. Oh my god, dude. I'm going to get killed. This is going to be the entire comment section. So you can break their pathfinding, is what I want to say. Pathing breaker in 10 minutes 22. There was a lot of pissing around in that, I'll be honest, but I'm guessing that's a good thing. We're about to find out. Depends what she expects when the sun goes down. But if you haven't seen this before, you've all seen it before. Oh, Decker K managed to sneak on board. Has he got some woman next to him there? Some unconscious woman. He's brazen these days. But yeah, I absolutely love. Okay, criticism. Why can't you zoom in properly in this game? I want to zoom in. Like in Diablo 2, Resurrected. I want to zoom in on this little zone. Oh, this is horrible. Why do they have to... I suppose they need to bleed that much so that you can see they're bleeding, but they look really sick. Actually, I love this little area. I love the way the bridge wobbles, but I would like to zoom in a bit more on the detail, because I think the lighting on the rocks in almost every area looks incredible. And I love this little lift down as well. Look at this. Oh, and again, storytelling ruined. What's the point? What's the point even trying to just talk about these gay lovers and their death pact when the lift stopped working? So I did find a unique Innsmouth, as it would be said. Solid chaos resistance on that, by the way. But Shadow over Innsmouth, for those who haven't read it, read it. And yeah, some guy just came and gave me this. It's pretty useless. But he just walked up and gave it to me, and I actually wasn't going to say no to it. Oh, wow. Okay. He's a crafter. He's a crafty one. Up to 40. Oh, my God. This guy is proving us wrong. We're finally cracking up the old poison track now. Roger. She might be hot, but she's mentally ill. What else can I say? So once again, not really prepared for this fight at all. I should probably have like a... Think about this fire resistance charms. I might be wrong, but I feel a little bit like a filler at this point. I think they should give permanent bonuses rather than temporary bonuses. Every fight goes on so long. This one didn't, because I got killed by the explosion attack. But so many fights go on so long. What is like 12 seconds with 2 charges? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm using it wrong. Probably. But to an everyday guy like me, don't get it. This fight, it's actually quite good fun. It's pretty easy. The most annoying thing was when I was out of my war banner radius. That was annoying. But when the clouds were in the wrong kind of spot, it got quite irritating. And Flam Milady, that doesn't really work. Luckily, she's not on the table, so I don't have to ever see that dreadful pun again and be saddened by my lack of wit. So what are we doing? You know, I know somebody would be like, you should have used rage. I did have it as an option. The issue is, even like escalating poison would be fantastic. I just don't have the slots in punch. Now they will unlock as we get to later levels, but we're not going to do that with this game. I mean, I'm getting hit by this spider pretty much. In the end, let's just stop trying to dodge it. I need to get slightly better at those because I know they're quite a feature of the first ascendancy challenge, and I do need to ascend my class at some point soon. Chest raided. And this is one of my favorite little spots, by the way. Look how good this looks. I think I made the mistake of mentioning Unreal Engine 5, and I know now, but it's not. I need the guy there, and we want a place to die. Yeah, this whole environment just looks incredible. It's such a level up from Act 2 in Diablo. And the bosses in this game, man, are just so cool. I'm just so pleased games like this exist now. It's so much fun being able to go through them. It depends how you do it, of course. Now, Babala, traitor, was very, very tough. As you can see, the amount of damage that Babala is able to push out is extensive. I didn't quite understand the mechanic on the ads, other than the fact that every now and then she casts that little hex on the ground, and then I think they just turn up after some time. It didn't seem to be correlated with me being nearby, or see, look, you can see there it looks slightly dormant. They still ended up turning up, and it wasn't just one that turned up, or even 3 or 4. I had at least 5, I think, at one point. Maybe just 4, but 4 is 4 is close to 5 for me. Thankfully, I understand this little poison attack mechanic means I need to get stuck in. Now, you can waste a lot of time with these fights. Pad the time, so to speak. Trying to manage the ads for these fights. There's no point, guys. Just roll away. Crack them down. Sort them out. One of the, like, for whatever reason, that really reminded me of Jason Statham. Maybe it's because even I felt like, oh, that's a stupid thing to say. Jason Statham's just one of those guys. I mean, hats off. He's done very well with not very much. With more than me, but that was a long fight, I'll be honest. I mean, I've maybe not give it the credit it deserves. Maybe a lot of time wasted dodging attacks. Hey, Jason Statham's accent, before I move on to other topics. I mean, just let me know what you think. We're in, I think, maybe, I mean, look, this to me feels like one of those areas which could be dropped. It's cool. It's cool in a way, but it really pads out the time for the act, and it's long enough. Jamanra. It sounds like the beginning of a phone call to Moe's Tavern, doesn't it? Do you really like having a companion in a fight? I'll be honest, I wonder if having a mercenary would completely ruin this game. Maybe. There is a skill, Tame Animal, which looks very interesting. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know it. But I think it's level 40 to start. It's a shame you don't get that to begin with. Really, that could be a really fun, like, Pokemon run. Summoned animal only. But at this point, I actually thought I'd won. I'm so used to Dark Souls kind of kill boxes that when the boss goes out of bounds, he's in real trouble. But luckily, this boss could just fly the whole time. So why he didn't just fly really high and just drop something on us, I don't know. I really like this area, by the way. One of the areas I do really like in Diablo 4, actually, is when you go into Like there's no mini map and you go into an area. It's very cool. I've got some cheeky little vagabond armor here. I'm thinking, I was thinking, oh, that's a shame it's no good. But actually the armor rating is so high and the evasion probably is worth keeping. And the strength is pretty nice for health as well. Ancient seal. If you see an ancient seal, definitely touch it. No, nothing problematic will happen. Don't worry. This looks amazing. The artist in this game, Takaboo, that means take a bow in Scottish. More ancient seals, just fucking kick them, trash them, rip them. And the zoom out here, big feels. More of that, more like super zoomed out fights. As far as the enemies should get really big, by the way, like disgustingly big. Act 2 has just got a vibe, man, that I absolutely love. Look at these little floating lights out here. You might disregard these, but I love them. I think they just add so much, like a magical feel to the place. And the way the lighting and illumination works in this, these like really deep, cavernous drops. Part of the reason I ran through the whole thing as fast as I possibly could, of course, because I love it so much. There was one place I wanted to get to, and that was the end. Maybe the end of the whole run at this point. Before we enter the next boss fight, let's just get that extra point, vital point in stacking poisons. And let's awaken Yorm. This is the kind of boss arena I like, by the way. I can get behind. Zalmarath. That's the kind of name I'd forget after meeting someone for a second. What's your name? It's Zalmarath. Oh, okay. What? Zalmarath is bringing the heat already, and I'm really trying to talk about something else. Maybe the one thing we should talk about is his feet. His lesser seen feet. Something about that poison effect becomes a little unforgettable, especially because it's so illuminated. But I wanted to say, when I was younger, I was always so preoccupied to try to make a good first impression that I can forget everything about them. But I digress. The reason why I'm pointing out this spot is the punch really highlights some really solid zones. The only reason you don't want to sit in his armpits is because of that big wind up on his left arm. But if you can avoid that, it's a very, very solid. I ended up pretty much like 2 zones, and it was almost like the closer you are to him and the more you follow him as he goes around. So both of his armpits are pretty good. The kind of left armpit when he's at his top was really, really good. Again, avoid that fire attack when you can, but you can see the big wind up on his arm. And the other one was really just trying to tuck into one of his other armpits on the other side. Actually, his right armpit was fine, but you could get attacked every now and then by some attacks. So maybe I've got decent life, maybe I've got decent block, all that kind of stuff. But I think actually some fights are easier as a melee character because I think you're looking a little closer, less worried about dealing damage and more worried about receiving it. Oh. That attack, it looks incredible. It's actually not that dangerous. Maybe I've got pretty solid resist at this point. As with all these fights, it does slightly annoy me. I know I'm playing an absolute meme build, but it does annoy me slightly that these boss fights are so long. The hit point pool is too big. Just highlighting how this probably was my preferred armpit by the end of the fight. Even though you could get clipped. I mean, here's a good example how you could easily get clipped. And then we are in what I would consider to be the bullshit part of the fight, where I have to now suffer at the occasional ads which like to self-destruct. Now I made the mistake of often trying to like fly through them. Honestly, some of those fireballs seem like they're homing. I swear to God. They're homing in on me. At the time I thought I was just being really, really bad at the game. That's not impossible. A fair hypothesis, let's say. The stupid thing to do, don't do this, is to roll back and forth across the group, because you end up getting clipped by something eventually. Now, I don't know how quite to explain this, but I'm not proud of this moment in my gaming career. But I'll let the clip speak for itself. Absolutely intimidated, completely wrecked. But wait. What? Drunk. He's drunk. He's absolutely wasted. Asleep, dead, heart attack. So what happens now? And I'm just praying, please let it be the case. Please. Please let there be a god. And then, oh my, and it looked like the fight was about to start again. Now the loot, who knows whether, dust in the wind, let them have it. Now, this is what annoys me slightly about zooming in, is there's a lot of unfinished boxes in the distance. Who cares when we've triumphantly first attempted that particular boss? Now it feels like that guy, I can't remember his name, lovely guy. He's not on the boss table. I didn't really kill him, and I felt too guilty about the whole thing. And this guy, oh, this is sad. Just in a corner. I was scared for a moment, but then I realized he was armless. Cheeky little relic. Let's get straight to Kabbalah. Kabbalah bala boom bong. Bing bong. Kabbalah bala bing bong. Now the damage is significant. I feel like maybe I'm at a point where my equipment is not quite up to scratch. And the ads she calls, I mean, this is a very small boss arena as it is. She's doing a lot of damage, and also my distraction that I'm suffering with these ads is allowing her to completely recharge her energy shield, which is not great. Because after this little summoning exercise, she then gets some bone armor. So the energy shield's back, the bone armor's up, my energy is down, and my bone is almost completely gone. I'm glad I make myself laugh. I have to laugh as I watch this horrific moment, being surrounded by tiny little bone snakes and getting taught a lesson when not to have a boner. I was suffering at this point in the run, I'll be honest. My damage was extremely low. Although I was excited at the fact that these guys weren't reacting to me when they all came to life, oh no. I actually thought, oh, can I be bothered to kill all these guys? Luckily, despite being made of stone, they bled out, which was good. And it took me a while to finally get to the wrapped Great Helm. But when I did get it, I was able to see what I actually feel like might be quite a good end game item. The rolls on this seemed really high, by the way. 14, 15, 12. And almost perfect armor as well. It's got to be worth something. Something to someone. And there's a certain point when you get chased by a certain amount of beetles that you decide just to nope and run away. And that, for me, was that moment captured live on film. A lot of this now was really just a exercise in Dark Souls 3 role management. And this is a super cool fight. But, I mean, the more I watch this back, the more I think there are so many boss fights in this game. Another sand kind of temple room, fire-based boss. I mean, it's fine that you've got all these great ideas, but save them. You don't need to give us all of these ideas at once. We're so spoiled. At least I feel like we've got too much content already so early in the game. Now the trick to this boss is not to let him destroy all the urns in the corner. So pretty early on, I was honestly trying my best. Pretty early on, half the room is now too dangerous for me, and that particular attack was not great fun. Now my issue was the room was getting very small, and if I stood on that burning ground, I would eventually ignite. I can't recall if I was actually taking damage while standing on it, just full stop. But this is a classic, am I going to do enough damage before my health runs out completely? I needed to lock in. And actually, he's very easy as a fight. He's really I don't know if you've ever... There's always one kid at school, and they're normally quite big. They've just got a weird attitude towards women. pings. So I felt like I needed just to lock in. There were moments here when I thought I'll just restart and just do it again. I had nothing left in the tank at the end of this fight, and somehow managed to get to this point in the fight. I just kind of locked in a little better. I was also being quite cautious, and I was very, very pleased. But it took so long, 22 minutes. Yeah, that was a lot of stress as well. My heart rate was high. Don't let anyone ever tell you there's no hot girls that hang around in temple catacombs. I go for the lightning ring. Those that know. But we've got some pretty intense lightning coming up in the near future. We'll make sure we're prepping for that. Making solid use of the relatively newly added sprint skill to avoid most of the combat. And I remember this on the kind of pacifist run being a particularly obnoxious fight, largely because Ichtab has just got such a ridiculous energy shield. And there are parts of this fight where you do need to retreat and hang back and dodge, and when he gets his energy shield back, it's like now energy shield almost completely back. I'm taking some damage, I'll be honest. This is not looking like it's an endurance session. It's looking like this is just going to be a complete misery session. I got absolutely impaled there by his horn. It's very worth bringing to attention this absolute sociopath. She's got the face of an ex-girlfriend, some weird obsessive psychopath smile. What she's done to these apples, only God can forgive. But just beware. Look at this. This looks amazing. Why they don't let me fight this creature, I don't know. Zoom out the camera. Let me fight something that big, please. Second relic, pretty solid to find. A lot of shopping is going to have to happen. We've got to up the damage, guys. 6 to 11 is the most we can get as a mod. Plus on an iron ring, we still get that 1 to 4 physical damage. I mean, the pricing people are charging for this stuff. 2 exalted orb I had to pay for this. It's ridiculous. It's inflation's gone crazy. Cost of living. So after a lot of shopping, I'm not even kidding, Yarngrupper, it's time to retire. 1 Thor movie was enough. 3 fingers. It sounds a bit Irish. How many fingers you got up, Paddy? I've got 3 fingers. We have a very, very solid damage roll. And the Giant's Blood is, I didn't quite understand it. It triples the requirements for weapons. So it means you can use a 2-handed weapon in one hand, but it triples their strength requirement. I don't have a weapon, so it's perfect for me. Woe Grip we just bought for 2 exalted orbs, which makes me sick to my stomach. But needs must. And then lastly, but by no means leastly, our helm. It's an Act 1 helm. Stick it in the bin. Gold rim. This is more like it. I find resists very difficult to get in this game, I'll be honest. Maybe I don't understand it. But with gold rim, and it had a very decent roll on gold rim with 29% resist all, at least resist elemental damage, we're looking pretty strong. Whoa, and the damage has gone up. Shot up. Do I want charges? I mean, come on, let's be honest. I never get charges. I don't kill anything. We're better off with the duration. Changing from like 6 seconds to 8 seconds big. I actually carry on shopping because I realized, yeah, I needed to do this. Iron Grasp, I don't understand any of this. But what I do understand is with a lot more spirit, we could do a lot more damage. So I end up buying this Pariah's Embrace. The only reason I really buy it is for the 50 spirit. And the other thing we look for is a belt. 11.8 life regen, very nice. 34% light resist, and I can't be shocked. That's going to be pretty important as we get into the end of this act. I actually end up finding a better one while shopping around for a bit longer, while actually trying to save up, because I had no money to buy this stuff. It's so expensive. Man, there's some cool items as well. Part of the reason this took so long is the shopping is so much fun in this game now. I end up using some of my like armor improving stuff, just because I felt like I probably had that armor for a pretty decent length of time. Now, I haven't necessarily used the spirit yet. What I want to do first here is see a naked lady again. Kabala bing bong. With my increased resists, increased damage, my much stronger boner. It's what am I talking about? Anyway. What I needed to do is to die. The reward from this fight is so worth it. There's a few fights that are quite difficult, but are so worth pursuing. And this is definitely one of them. Now, I understand the fight. I understand what I need to do. And a lot of it's just not getting trapped by these bloody snakes. And I mean bloody in the sense that I'm making them bleed. First part of this fight is the hardest part of this fight. That's the crazy thing about it. And I'll explain why. The damage is decent, but the summons happen so frequently. So I still haven't broken through that bone armor that she's managed to summon. And by the time I get even close to it, she's resummoning the second batch. I'm back on my kind of desperate one-punch roll-away attack. Once again, completely stuck. Luckily, the snakes don't seem to last forever. But when they die, they kind of leave enough bones for her to be able to generate some armor around herself. There you go, once again, like regenerating that bone armor. The fortunate thing is, because I have that poison tick and bleed tick, that we can, at this point, at least do some damage through that energy shield. But when we get to this stage, where she casts the like little bone walls in between all but one of the exits, when she pops back out, or the duration of that particular spell ends, she kills all of her adds, which makes the remainder of the fight so much easier, because I basically just need to survive. Even if I did get clipped, I'm actually feeling a lot stronger than I was before. My health is slightly lower, but my resistances are so much higher that I feel empowered enough to smash it to pieces. A long old fight. Maybe I didn't quite emphasize quite how long that was. A beautiful animation coming through. Our poison is getting stronger and stronger by the second. Now the androids are taking over. I've caught them in the act. Look at this forced smile. But the thing is, I know what you're up to. I've caught them. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Look at this. I mean, this looks cool. Maybe they're just chucking. It's weird that they can put in this many different assets in the same area, and it still runs so well. Look at that. Well, actually, I'm going to say what a pair. Not sure about that. We all know what I have to do at some point. The problem, I've got a real issue with this whole honor system. I actually really don't like the ascendancy trials. I think the whole honor thing needs just to be scrapped. I don't get why it's a thing. I don't get why it's fun. It limits classes so massively. Surely all melee classes are massively affected by how difficult this is, because it's all about how much you get hit. What happens if I'm playing a Thorns build and I want to get hit as much as possible? It's just a stupid system, and it relies too heavily on RNG. I mean, here with like gold slip, I mean, who cares who this guy is? But getting clipped by even just the tiniest little bit is making my potential fight at the end so impossible. I've got a few fortunate rooms in this one, but I made the mistake of making the traps a lot faster, and it just meant I took so much chip damage on this run. I was able to restore some honor, but not nearly enough, milady. And this particular unique that I had to kill, this rare, was so difficult. The delayed attacks just messed with my mind so much. And you can see how long this fight is as it is. It's a very, very long fight to stay conscious and committed for that long. I was able to restore all of my honor by the end of this fight, and I thought, you know what? You might have a chance here, dude. That was misfounded optimism. Battle Cage is just one of those guys. It's one of those fights that's designed to be dishonorable. He has so many little like bullshit ticket packs, and I just took so much little bits of damage as the fight went on. I was actually rarely in any actual trouble. I knew I'd survive. If it was just a fight, this would be pretty easy. But you're stuck with this ridiculous honor system. Just remove it. Now, I'd actually got him down pretty far, but I just kept getting clipped by some of the stupidest attack. And I just got that feeling that this wasn't going to be the one. I actually survived on 17 honor for a ridiculous amount of time. And I assumed if I survived on 17 honor and edited it, that people would just assume I've cheated. But I say, fortunately, I died. So I did what anyone would do. I spent all my money trying to get some really decent relics. I got almost 30% more life. The whole thing again. Got some mega boons, by the way, including basically a restart. By the end, like red smoke and shattered shield. For someone who's basically got no energy shield, these are pretty good afflictions to have. So Rattle Cage once again, this time full honor and a lot more honor. And this time I know that if I do take too much damage, I've got a chance of getting all of my honor restored. So we should, with that much honor, we must be able to do it. Must? Well, this is going to be a skill gap. A lot of it is going to be luck, I'll be honest. I got clipped by attacks like that I just didn't think I was going to get hit by. And it's that kind of thing. I mean, that only needs to happen 20 times and the run's over in different ways. I actually did phenomenally well. And the glory of an ascendancy is mine. Old, what did I call him? Ratatouille Fire Dick. Didn't even scratch Dave. Barely 10 minutes. And I did find this cheeky wand. +3 to level of all spell skills. Pretty solid, to be honest. That'll go in the old box. We've got a few keys on the way. Oh, an exalted orb can help pay for how ridiculously expensive everything is. Now, the option between Jedi and Pathfinder, we know what we're going for. It was always going to be the Pathfinder, specifically to try and max out this bottom track here. Poison. The first node isn't great. The second one is very decent. Double the number of poisons on overwhelming toxicity is what I'm after. So let's immediately spend the exalted orb I got on a new shield. Now this really, it looks pretty average. It's got some pretty decent stats. The strength and dexterity is nice. It's the resists are going to be so important. And I'm so poor, I can't despec completely from bleed, but I can despec most of the way there. Absolutely as poor as I could be at many times during this run. And I'm actually putting a lot of points into intelligence, which has always been something I lack. And with a level 2 support gem now, there's a few different options here. There's still not enough slots on punch for me to make the most of it. But what I'm after here is Withering Presence, eventually. We need more intelligence for that. And that intelligence allows us to get into another little poison tree here, part of the poison tree. Magnitude, eventually a pretty solid skill we'll get when we first poison creatures, which is going to be useful. I am a bit concerned that my survivability is suffering, because I'm pretty much having to put all my points into poison. But I sell a bit more just to get that last despect point. And it's Withering Presence that we're after here. Wither gives a debuff to enemies near me, reduces their chaos resistance, which is a fundamental resistance for poison. My studies will have to wait. Time to rebattle. Well, rebattle the lag. The latency records in this were gold medal. Ornstein and Bone. Next, I need to go down. And I'm immediately scared that I'm maybe not doing as much damage as I need to. My resists at this point are significantly better than they were when I first did this fight. So we should be in a much better position. Little clip there on his protruding horn. That's what she said. The fight feels more manageable. I think maybe I'm in just a better state of mind. I was on a bit of a high having done the Ascendancy trial. I was quite worried that was going to be impossible. But money can solve a lot of problems. This was not an easy fight. Quite clearly, from the amount of damage I'm able to take. But once Kebab went down, which I had to read online, like, are there any good tips for this fight? Universally, take the mage out first. Because Bone Boy just doesn't have the same kind of danger in the second phase. Especially if you spend all your time kicking him in the nutsack, or what's left of it. I mean, right in there at points. Right at the weak point. I mean, getting to this second stage, it did feel like, yeah, we've actually got this. But still a pretty epically long fight. And then at this point, right at the very end, the real boss of the game rears its head. The performance really feels like it wasn't as good as the first time I played this game, which may have been some months ago. But thank God they allow you to restart the fight from exactly the point you left off at. Otherwise, I would have tutted loudly. I'm not sure what I would have done. Probably just restart. We did it. Actually, only 11 minutes 35 seconds, which feels pretty good at this point. Just gonna touch my horn in public, right in front of this woman as well. Now a big change. A very important change. Scaled up the kill potential. What I thought was contagious contamination on the ascendancy tree turned out not to be. But everything was suddenly dying very quickly. When I killed one, the poison was spreading to another, and everything was exploding and dying. It suddenly felt like I made a viable build. I'd stacked so much poison that when I added Bursting Plague, I was just doing a huge amount of damage, specifically from the triggered when enemy poisoned. It deals damage based on the built-up plague, and I was building up that plague, boys. Hunin and Hunin. It's one of those fights that annoys me so much because I know what their names should be, but they've messed them up slightly. Munin and Hugin are correct. They're the two ravens who serve Odin. The fact they've changed them slightly winds me up. Enough to kill them anyway. And this is a super sad scene. So clearly the guy, I don't know, went to change a wheel, had his lunch, dropped his lunch, tripped over some rocks, and just decided just to lay there and die. Just a modern parable. The final letter here is one of those things you could almost neglect trying to look for, but it's really good when it offers another +2 to our passive tree skill. However, we do not need to spend those points just yet. It suddenly felt like I'd inadvertently made a pretty good build. And another large strongbox here, a unique looking one. Did get a level up, which was very nice. We've got 4 skill points to spend at some point soon. Stink moan. My God, what a christening that must have been. Let's get our intelligence right up there. Future skills. We're planning ahead. We're moments away from Hollow Palm. In fact, I'm going to take some points away from something else. Hollow Palm technique. What I've been building to for the whole run. Although it took me quite some time to understand, the damage jump was incredible. Now we lose our shield. Okay, so block and resists. But my goodness, we're doing 5 times the damage. And all of a sudden, killing these guys, although I'm taking a huge amount of damage, creatures that were taking so long to whittle down before one of them exploded and spread the poison were suddenly dropping like flies. Even like isolated creatures that would be such a pain, and often I'll just move on. Easy. And these vile vultures, like they were taking so long to kill. Even the rares dropping without any issue whatsoever. But I immediately had quite an overwhelming sense of existential crisis. I mean, it's great suddenly having this skill. This is a punch only run. This is not punch only, this is a quarterstaff strike run. And I just don't want that to be the case. I've endured so much up to this point, just to cheapen it. Crazy. So call me crazy, rightly so, but I just couldn't in my right mind finish the run on a really strong attack that might well be tuned down in the next patch. Punch. This is a punch only run. I'm a punch only character. And I will finish this game using the punch skill only. Promised. That is what I've promised myself, as well as you guys. So let's get on. Immediate regret as I realised Torgal one of the worst fights in my pacifist only run. Rears his calcium-ridden body. Honestly, there's a lot of bones. I love a bone pun, but are they even humorous at this point? Are you tickled in the ribs? But you calcium coming. I'm glad I still make myself laugh. Torgal, not known for his ability to make people laugh at a party, but he does have the ability to summon ads, and that might be the way I could tick him down. He's definitely a chunky boy. Now, why he's stuck in this well, I'm not sure. What he was doing in the well, maybe that's his business. But I'm guessing, as you are, that it's probably sexual. And him and his mother should be thoroughly ashamed. Not that his mum's directly involved, I mean just by association. Torgal is one of those fights which goes on for a long time. And suddenly, he does some absolutely mega attacks. And it can blindside you slightly. I tell you what, it would be great to hear your thoughts, guys, on what run you'd like me to attempt next. But part of me wants to choose the most overpowered meta build possible. You know it's not going to happen, but this fight was so boring. Words cannot describe. But I'll at least save you from having to watch too much of it. There's just not a lot going on to be too worthy of attention, but it is a lot of my life I'm not getting back. I think partially my general game has just elevated having to do this challenge. So a lot of these fights are just feeling quite simple. I've mentioned before, like studying the fight makes them easier. Who would have thought? Back in the well he goes. Actually, the fight was only 11 minutes, 35 seconds. It felt so much longer than that, I'll tell you. And nice to find a bleeding helm. Well, we've completely despec'd from that particular skill tree. We are getting solidly close to the end of Act 2, brothers and sisters. We have one bus trip left. Now this particular area, I actually really like this area. I think it is cool. I have got stuck here a few times with different characters. This bit can be pretty tough. But with Bursting Plague, everything's a bit fun. The real danger is surviving. I still feel so squishy, and I swear part of that is because evasion is just trashed here, related in comparison with armor. At least I'm getting some decent experience. And actually the drops were pretty good as well, which meant I could afford to despec from Hollow Palm, finally, and start putting that towards some really decent stuff. With more magnitude of poison, we're going to need a lot of poison to get us through the next part. Now I could completely up my lightning by another like 7% resist, but I really think we're going to need that extra damage we get from the ring. Let's head in to the saddle of the Dreadnought. I'm getting solid Nausicaa vibes from this guy. It's Jamanra again. You're right. I'm going to just fly off. I can tell immediately, given the fact that I've already done 1,000 damage, and the health bar doesn't seem to, must be a bug, but the health bar isn't moving, and I'm doing thousands of damage. Why do they need this much? Someone explain to me why they've made these. Why does anyone need this much health in this game? Is there a build that just wipes this health out so quickly that they need this in order to balance it? Why don't they balance it for punch only runs? Well, look, with the resists I have, I mean, I'll be honest, limited danger. The old double strike attack you can see there, that's the one I did kind of have to avoid. Even if I didn't, it wasn't that bad. And the introduction of some ads, even though they're only half men, they fully explode. They do actually do a decent amount of damage as well, which is annoying. But the idea would be to get as many of them around Jamanra as possible. Hopefully trigger enough explosions to chip away at that massive health pool. Oversized girth of a health pool that we're all having to suffer through right now. The first part of this fight is just long. I don't know how else to describe it. No real challenge, like actually no part of this I was in any real danger. Maybe I could have fallen asleep. Knocked my drink onto my computer and short-circuited it and caught fire to myself. That was the biggest risk. But to have 2/3 health left and now have to fight in this arena in a fight that I know is brutally difficult by the end. Yeah, I was not excited. Now the attacks are one thing, but the health, this is just getting out of hand. It's not even going down. That's what she said. The 2 attacks I need to avoid, and unfortunately both of them slightly track. There's a little bit of like a delay on them, and then they also track. It's just the first is the overhead sword attack, and the second is that like sweeping polearm attack. The only real risk, I'll be honest, is having them back to back and getting hit by both. And I think if that happens, it's just over for us all. Sweep attack, tracking, and there's death. Oh, retail therapy is the only way to get out of this. And I'm looking at you, snakebite braces. So I ran this area many times. Experience actually very, very decent. More importantly, we were getting some cash to upgrade our equipment. Life, fire resist, lightning resist. I mean, tri-res boots. Are you serious? For 1 exalt? And one of the best places for experience actually was for just the first little bit here. First area, you had loads of creatures swarm almost immediately. And I only need 1 to die from poison, and the rest of them would do God's work. More intelligence. Come on. Unlocking some pretty core points on the tree here. The dual sockets we know could be big. I'm trying to work out how to get this to work. And actually, despair, minus 41 chaos resistance. Now within Blasphemy as an aura, it's not going to be 41, it's going to be reduced. You don't get the full benefits. But I can now walk around and it activate. With a bit more spirit, Wither, I can use Wither too. What a great looking shield, by the way. But it's poison magnitude I'm looking for in these particular duels. And I'm still farming up what I can. I mean, I was here for probably 2 hours or so just farming this, mainly for cash, a lot for experience. Now I'm going to compare the before and after of where we were. The lower bar there was our original attempt on this boss. You can see by the time we hit 1,000, we hit 700 in the past. So we are doing a huge amount more damage, almost 50% more. Good. So that should cut the 30-minute fight down massively. We'll crack through the beginning part. You can see the aura here reducing their resistance to my poison significantly. And Jamaica's going to have a real hard time surviving the poison burst that's going to come from this. The only problem is the health pool is so big. Even if you do thousands of damage, it just simply isn't that bothered. But this was much quicker to get to this point. We still have 90% of the mountain to climb at this point. Very cool to be able to slice a car in half. Surprised he doesn't use that move on us. Let's get into it. Come on. Optimism. Come on. You've got to believe in your heart that this is possible. Once again, the reason I've got the latency meter up in the top is this was made additionally challenging by the occasional unpleasant spike in latency. Stressful. Especially stressful when some of the big attacks come out. Now, within the second attempt, we got to the final stage, and my God, things got real very quickly. Now, during every attack, I have to endure the idea of all of these beams coming down from the sky, chipping my health away. So the idea of being able to like casually enjoy the break between attacks to do some damage has now completely evaporated. This was honestly so terrifying all the time. High heart rate, high blood pressure. My potion situation was pretty desperate. The benefit I had is I did have a mod on my potion that allowed it to recuperate very slowly over time. but I was still using more. Because at this point, I've been doing it for so long, I just didn't want the run to go down. So when I took too much damage, I had to use the potion just to recover. Otherwise, it would have all been for nothing. We're battling at this point, brothers. Battling for victory where it feels like it's not possible to get it. My resists are so good. My damage is pretty much, for this point, don't know how much more damage I can eke out of this. And the latency, please, come on. I did not want to break the latency record. I wanted to win using my fist. Please, game. Literally straight back in. Thank God that it saves the state. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do if it reset. And things are getting real by the time the portals open up. I'm locked in at this point. I'm zen. I know I just need to as long as I keep him away from the portals. Is this the poetic end we need? Lightning, fire, temporal change. A single punch with limited range. A battle long with health depleted. Just one misstep to be defeated. Believe in the power of a man when the chips are weighed against his hand. Then that single punch becomes a thing to make the birds and poets sing. To topple the mighty, no hollow palm. To clutch a victory, steady, calm. What poetic simplicity would be missed? To topple the gods with just my fist. And with that, friends, the end of Act 2 dawns upon us. 26 minutes and 19 seconds later, and let me tell you, it felt like an hour longer than that. Goodbye hug from our dear friend Asala. And in that moment, we are victorious at last. Act 3, then on the horizon. But that, my friends, is for another time. Thank you so much for watching. But there is an Act 3 and 4. What are you doing? I literally don't have the disk space. So if you want to see it, please subscribe. I would love to hear your advice. So many of you know so much more than I do. So please share your wisdom as best as you can. I really hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.